All right, let's talk about real estate branding. Very common topic to come up. Whether you're a new agent or you're, venturing off, wanting to have your own brand separate from your brokerage. What is it, right? What do you need to think about? So a brand really consists of a few things, right? You have a logo, you have a color palette, and your headshot is certainly part of your brand. Additionally, you have a name, and you're going to have a font. So those are kind of generally things to think about. Let's start with your logo. When it comes to your logo, let's go back. Let's start with your name. So when it comes to your name, when we named our group, so our group's called the K Grant Group. What is that? So Kay and Grant are my wife and my middle names. She's Andrea Kay, I'm Jeffrey Grant. The reason that we used our middle names instead of our first names is so that at some point in time in the future, if we wanted to sell it, you have that ability, right? Because it's not tied to you. Generally, real estate teams and brokerages don't sell for very high multiples because it's so heavily tied to the owners. So you want to do anything you can to avoid that. So think of something creative and just keep that in mind for the future. And then when you're developing your logo, you want to make sure that you're developing really two types of logos, right? You want your kind of horizontal aspect ratio. So generally thinking about that kind of more, closer to that like 16:9. And then you also are going to need a square version of your logo, right? More of a 1:1 aspect ratio. So you'll definitely want to consider that in your logo. No more than 2 colors in the logo. And in general, I recommend that logos aren't too busy and don't try to do any sort of like 3D effects, right? You want your logo to be flat and fairly simple. With your logo, that may also play into your font, right? Because oftentimes your name is going to be part of that logo. In general, most modern day stuff uses sans serif fonts these days. That's very popular, but it's really up to you, and your graphic designer is going to help put that together. Now, when it comes to your color palette too, right? Oftentimes people are like, oh, well, what colors are the most effective, that kind of stuff. There's all sorts of different psychological research on there. You can Google it all over the place. For the most part though, I think it's important to just find a color that suits you, right? What do you like to wear? Right? That's a big thing that, it does just matter. It's a personality thing. So I wouldn't get too caught up in all the psychology and moving the needle some tiny bit, right? And, purple, for royalty, and blue for trust and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I would focus too much on that. I would focus more on, what kind of goes with your personality, what colors you like, that kind of stuff, because it's going to be everywhere, right? It has to be something that you're proud of and that, you really want to represent or that represents you. Now, the most important thing to branding is that you develop templates that you use. So when I say templates, I mean for Facebook posts, I mean for postcards, for brochures, for letterhead, for letters, any printed material you're gonna have. You're gonna develop these templates and you're gonna stick to them. So that means that all of your Facebook posts, when you're posting proof of production or market updates, they're all gonna look very similar. So people continue to see it and really build that brand recognition. And then same thing when it comes to postcards, right? Your brand is gonna carry over into your templates. So if you're mailing postcards, you should only have a few templates because that's part of your brand, right? It's them seeing the same thing over and over and over every time they see you. So that's what makes it consistent and known, right? When you go to McDonald's, you know what you're getting. Not that you necessarily want to compare your brand to McDonald's, but that's the idea, right? If you go into Tiffany's, they're always gonna look the same. You know that Tiffany's blue. You know what the Tiffany's box looks like, right? You know exactly what you're getting every time. So whether you wanna be the McDonald's or the Tiffany's of real estate, Either way, you know that you just need to have a very consistent brand. And so don't get caught up with trying to do all sorts of different things and change it up. That's the exact opposite of what you want to do. So like when it comes to postcards, for instance, you're going to want to have one proof of production template. You're going to want to have one automated seller valuation template, right, where people can see how much their home's worth, and one market update template. 99% of what you mail is going to be that. If you want to mix in some mailing of, holiday cards, that kind of stuff to your sphere, that's great. I generally kind of stick to my sphere for that. When it comes to the farm, I'd stick to those proof of production, market updates, and automated seller valuation cards. But I want you to keep in mind that that's a really large piece of your brand. Your brand isn't just your color scheme, your logo, your name, your font, your headshot, right? Your brand is all of the material that you put out. So make sure that that material is incredibly consistent. Whoever puts together your brand for you, make sure they provide you with a brand guide. That brand guide is incredibly important. Anytime anyone is creating anything for you, you want to give them that brand guide, and you want to make sure that you're holding the line. If you have a team, it's incredibly important that they also are respectful of the brand guide and stick to it. It's incredibly important that you do not deviate from your brand. And again, a lot of times real estate agents can be their own worst enemy when it comes to their brand, wanting to have all these different looking materials. You don't want that. You want to be very steady and have a very clear brand with very clear templates.